Welcome to the All Around Joe podcast, where we optimize your human performance from my personal experience as an athlete, coach, and all-around self-improvement junkie. This edition of the All Around Joe podcast is going to be all about how to create a new and improved version of yourself, all about how the titles that we give ourselves and the things that we do create who we are and how we can actually hack that in order to be the people that we want to be. But before we jump right into that, this podcast is brought to you by the Get Better Project, which is my at-home high-end online fitness program. Getting a little tongue-tied there because this is the second time doing this podcast because the first time did not record properly. So if you would like to do the things that I do, if you would like to take on the habits that I have, if you would like daily programming from myself, head over to the getbetterproject.com/getbetter and join us today. I am super stoked because we've had the Get Better Project going for about 6 months now, and we're starting to get people recommending their friends and family into the program, which says a lot to me that we're headed in the right direction, that people are doing the workouts, they're getting the results. It's been fantastic. So the reason that I created the Get Better Project is because over the last 20 years, I have been the type of person that goes around and figures out what I want to accomplish, and I walk down that path with a lot of action. And those people that are close to me have taken on those actions as well. So they found it very easy to get themselves in really good shape, eat healthy, nutritious food, know what to eat, know what workouts to do, all of that stuff. It's been easy because you surround yourself with the people that you want to be like. And that is what the Get Better Project is. It's surrounding yourself with the people that you want to be like in order to take on their habits and get their results easily. So if that sounds like something that's cool to you, head over to getbetterproject.com/getbetter and join us today. Also, I am incredibly excited to announce that I have become an ambassador for Blonix. Blonix has been a company that I have loved for years and years, ever since I did a podcast interview with Blonix years ago on their HMB plus creatine product and figured out or learned about what kind of cool company they are. They do things above and beyond standard in the supplement industry. I feel like the HMB plus creatine product is the best creatine product there is out there. And even though I've tried many of them, some of them that have worked, the HMB plus creatine product is the best that I have ever tried. And I always go back to paying for it out of pocket to use that particular product. That's how good it is. Or when I go into really heavy, important training seasons like the CrossFit Open or a competition coming up, I would always go back to the Blonix products because I believe in them because they get me the best results. So I am incredibly excited to announce that I'm going to be working more closely with Blonix. You can get 10% off their products with my code AllAroundJoe, or you can go straight there by going to allaroundjoe.com/Blonix, BLONYX, and trying their products for yourself. I get the HMB plus creatine, the beta alanine, which makes you feel kind of tingly and itchy, but it means that it's working. And I'm now trying a full jug of the egg white protein powder, which tastes to me a lot like chocolate milk. It's like a unsweetened or less sweetened version of chocolate milk. To me, that is delicious. So for those of you that are looking to get the full protein spectrum from eggs rather than from the traditional dairy or whey, check out their protein powder as well. Use code AllAroundJoe, get yourself 10% off. Let me know if you have any questions. I am incredibly stoked to be working with them. So now to get into this podcast on how to create a new and improved version of yourself, we're going to jump right in. So the question that I have for you is, when you tell someone about yourself, what do you tell them? Do you say like, I'm an architect, I'm a marketer, I'm a bum, I'm a couch potato, I am a teacher, I'm a soccer player, I'm a runner? What are the titles that you give yourself? Because those titles that you give yourself, that you truly believe about yourself, make it easy for you to do the actions that require you to give yourself that title. So don't you think it'd be really cool to give yourself more titles for the things that you wanted, or figure out how to do that so that you could easily take the actions? Like, for example, I know that I'm a competitive CrossFitter, so it's really easy for me to take the actions to do that. I know that I'm an ultra runner, so I know that it's really easy for me to take those actions, to make choices based off of the food that I'm eating, the water that I'm drinking, the people that I'm hanging around. All of those choices become really easy. You know, if I know that I'm going to be a competitive CrossFitter and someone asks me to go out to a bar, it doesn't align with what I'm trying to accomplish. Or maybe it does, but I'm still going to be at home in bed by, 10 or 10:30 p.m. I might have gone out and had a drink rather than, spent the whole night out at the bar. Or maybe it means I don't go out at all. But it's really easy to make that decision, that choice, because that is my title and it doesn't align. It wouldn't make sense for people to go and do those particular things and consider themselves those titles. Or are you're giving yourself bad titles, and it works both ways. But if you're trying to accomplish particular goals, it is really cool to go down this path and figure out what those titles are that you call yourself. So think about it. Think about it right now, or put this on pause and then write down what you think those titles are that you give yourself. And the ones that not only do you tell yourself or tell other people, but what are the titles that you tell yourself, right? You're a mother, you're a father, you're a sister, you're a brother. All of these things are these titles that you give yourself. And you could be, a mother, a father, sister, or brother without having any biological association with other people, right? It could be adopted. It could be that, I call my good friends brothers all the time, right? Because who cares if they're blood brothers or not? So and then I treat them, appropriately with those particular titles. I, keep in contact with them all the time. They're, not just good friends, but they're brothers, right? So, or sisters, or whatever it may be. So think about that. I want you to really think about that, like dig deep, because it's important if you have goals that you want to accomplish. Because if you're not really thinking about them, then you're just going to go with the flow, and going with the flow is not going to be getting you closer to your goals unless you're just, accidentally bump into them, which can happen, but it's not a surefire way to reach any of these particular goals. And this really plays into the health, fitness, nutrition realm, because are you a runner? Are you a CrossFitter? Do you call yourself those particular things? Do you want to be them? Do you want to be a marathoner? Do you want to have those titles? Do you look up to people that have those particular titles and then you want to have them yourself, but you don't really know how to? Well, it's really easy this day and age. There's a lot of things that we can do, and I'm going to give you some tips and some pointers for how you can take on these titles that these other people have really easily, really, really easily. And I'm going to give you some great examples, right? So the interesting thing is that once you have these titles, once you've given yourself the title of, an architect or a marathoner or a professional website designer or a competitive CrossFitter, doing those actions is super easy. Super easy. And yes, you have to figure out what those actions are first. Yes, you do. And there are certain paths that are much easier than others to go down to figure out how to get those titles. Like, for example, if you're going to be an architect, you're probably going to go to college. Then I think that maybe there's a graduate degree, or a professional degree after that. And then you're going to intern, and then you're going to go work for somebody. And then you're going to start having this hat of professional architect. And you're going to tell people, what do you do? Oh, I'm an architect, or, I have an architect degree, so I'm an architect. If you run a marathon, some people will say that I've run a marathon, and some people will say I'm a marathoner. And it usually means that they're distinguishing themselves between having one particular time in their life that they did something. Now, I don't recommend doing that at all unless it was to support some particular thing that you were trying to do, but it's going to be much more advantageous for you if you have run a marathon and you associate yourself as a marathoner, right? Do you do the things that marathoners do? That doesn't mean that you're actually running marathons all the time, but even a marathoner in the off season is going to keep themselves in pretty darn good shape because they're right on the edge of being able to drop into marathon training season. So do you see where I'm going there? You can take all of these particular actions, right? As a competitive CrossFitter, it doesn't necessarily mean that I am training incredibly hard all of the time, but I'm, keeping myself in a good enough shape with the actions that I'm taking and the food that I'm eating in order to, sign up for a competition and in, a few weeks to a few months, be ready to be close to 100% of my capacity in order to do a competition, or I could walk into a competition right now. I am in good enough shape to do that, but it wouldn't be the top results, but that's fine. Still be probably middle of the pack there. And I do those actions. It's really easy. After this podcast, I'm going to go out and do a workout in the driveway, and it's not hard at all. It's become who I am. So, if I was a professional website designer, it'd be the same thing. I could go and open up my computer and start, designing websites or working on a particular code or whatnot, because that's what you call yourself. That's what your title is, and the path, like we said, for traditional things was it you go to college, you get an internship, whatever it may be, and then you gain those titles. But it hasn't always been that way. And I think that if we can look at it from a different perspective, from an older perspective of how before there was colleges or whatnot, or traditional education systems, or things that you would accomplish without a college system, what would you do, right? You'd find somebody that was doing what you wanted to do or title that you wanted to have, and then you would basically intern or be an apprentice for them and learn what they were doing, mimic them until you were good enough or had done enough in order to give yourself that title. And it could be, we could use things like an example of a farmer, right? You go and you start doing work on the farm, seeing what the farmer is doing, copy what they're doing, help them out with things until the point that they start to give you these tasks, and then you can start calling yourself the farmer, or any other of these particular services or tasks that you could think of, or titles that you could think of. You probably could go down that same path with them. And because of this particular podcast, I just want to make that association, right? That you probably have some sort of title that you've given yourself, whether it's a good one or a bad one. And some of them were really easy to accomplish and know, or not. Some were easy to accomplish. Some were easy to know what the path was and just to take it, even though it took many years. And some of them are not so clear. But the cool thing about right now in this time and age, what you can do is you don't necessarily have to go and be an apprentice for somebody. You can use things like Instagram. And it is mind-boggling to me, these people that are not on Instagram, even if you don't post anything, just so that you can go and see what other people are doing in the areas that you're interested in. Okay, so I am interested a lot in competitive CrossFit. I actually get a lot out of following other competitive CrossFit athletes because I can see what they're doing on a regular basis. I see how they move. My brain starts to pick up on those things, and you'd be surprised how you can do that. So in an ideal world, you drop in and you hang out with these people, and the 5 people that you hang around most are the ones that you start to take on attributes from, and you start to become those things faster. So that'd be the fastest way. And there's a great example of that. So if you've heard of Rich Froning, who is 4-time CrossFit Games champion, he owns a gym called CrossFit Mayhem in Cookeville, Tennessee. He has had people not only come and train with him, but actually move to Cookeville, Tennessee. Some of the best CrossFitters in the world have actually moved to Cookeville, Tennessee to train with him and his team in order to really absorb what he's been doing. I mean, coaches, athletes, all kinds of people have gone to Cookeville, Tennessee in order to basically absorb what he and that environment is giving them, right? Because he, like myself, has held himself to a standard that other people can follow, because he's not going to sway from that particular standard. He's stubborn, if you want to call it that, but he's very motivated to go and get that particular thing that he is driving towards. Even if somebody comes and says, hey, let's go out and do this, like let's go, on a pub crawl or something, he's going to be like, nah, why would I do that? It's not associated with what my particular goals are. And that's what you want. You want to go and look for these people that are so driven that you can just hop in and follow them. And with things, if you don't want to go and hang out or, move yourself to something like Cookeville, Tennessee, or wherever the person is that has a title or the thing that you want is, you can use something like Instagram. Instagram is a greatest way. I don't think Facebook's all that great for it, but Instagram, because you can see what people are talking about. You can actually reach out and talk to these particular people. So let's say you want to be a marathoner and you want to call yourself a marathoner. You could find somebody that is exactly in your shoes. Let's say you have a full-time job and you're not going to be able to get out of that and become a professional full-time marathoner, but you find someone that is, let's say, an architect and runs marathons, and you can find those particular people because there's someone out there that is full-time architect that's running marathons and they love posting about their marathon training, and you can go and friend them or follow them, start asking them questions, figuring out what training programs they do, what food they eat, and you can start taking that on and becoming that title of marathoner, architect marathoner, or, full-time dad marathoner, or whatever it may be, competitive CrossFit athlete, or, if you just want to be a runner or whatever it may be. You can do all of that through Instagram right now, which is super easy, fantastic. All you got to do is put yourself out there, do a little research. And if you need help with this at all, I'm happy to help you. So if you're having trouble, if you're not the technical person, if you've never used Instagram before, you don't know how to do research, let me know. email me, joe@allaroundjoe.com. I'll be happy to help you out, or send me a message on Instagram at allaroundjoe, and we can figure out who those particular people are and how to find them. And you can start following them, asking them questions, and mimicking their lives so that you can take on the titles that they have. You see how this can make the new you. So then you create these titles and you get rid of the old ones. So whether or not you think that that's possible right now, you just really brainwash yourself to do it. And a good example of that, or I don't know if I should say it's a good example, but an example that I've heard before is when people go and they use a hypnotist to stop smoking. They've been brainwashed. Their bodies and minds have actually been rewired in order to believe that they are non-smokers. And as soon as they believe that, and it's totally like, I don't smoke, then it's just easy. You just follow those actions. I don't smoke, right? So and as soon as you rewire your brain to that, I'm sure that it takes longer for other people, and it depends on like what environment you're in to do that. But you start to actually take on those attributes just as soon as you can flip the switch in your brain. So what you want to do is hypnotize yourself to have that title of whatever it may be that you want to accomplish, and you just take on those actions. Because the reason you want to do this is because it makes all of the actions you have to take in order to be that person so much easier. If I know that I am a CrossFit athlete or competitive CrossFitter or a marathoner or ultra marathoner, taking those actions because that's what I tell myself or who I tell myself I am is so easy, because other things that are not aligned with it, it doesn't fit at all. It doesn't fit at all. So you just ride this wave of the actions that are required for you to get those particular goals, because that's who you are. Does that make sense? I hope so, because it's how I've lived my life. It's how it worked. It's how I've coached people. It's really easy once you're able to figure out what those particular things that you want, number one, and then figure the people out that are doing those particular things so that you can copy what they're doing, or read books about how to do those things and just start doing them. And then you get the title, and then you're doing it and you're off to the races. So some things that I call myself, or some titles that I have for myself, are competitive CrossFitter, ultra runner, fantastic person who motivates others to get better, and I'm the type of person that can make anything happen, and so on. And if you're thinking, you know what, Joe, this sounds easy, but I don't think so. You probably just, came out of the womb like this. That is not the truth. I've been working on it for the last 20 years, and I've set my sights on particular things, and I've learned that this is how it works, and this is how it has worked for me. And when I am working with coaching people, I see that that is where they struggle, because they're trying to hit these particular goals. They're not actually being that title or that person. They're like, I want to lose 10 pounds so I can be 170 pounds, because I think that would be the ideal weight for me. And I'm like, well, why do you even care about that? Why don't you just, what do you want out of this? Do you want to be, someone that is a competitive CrossFit athlete? Do you want to have, abs all the time? Do you want to be a super fit person? What do you want it to be? So even if you have the title of like, I'm a super fit person all the time, and you figure out what that is for you, taking the actions to be that person are easy. And let's say that you're 200 pounds, but you need 170 to fit that particular role. As long as you figure out what it takes to be, the 5 foot, whatever, 870-pound person, and the actions that the other people that are that same build are taking in order to be that person all the time, then you just step into those shoes, and eventually you're going to be the 170-pound person. And it's not that you had to like get there and I've accomplished this big thing. It's like, no, I just walk the talk, and that's who I am. And then you can just be that for the rest of your life, and it becomes easy. It's not like it has to be a struggle, where most people would struggle to go, lose 30 pounds in order to be 170 pounds. You just do what it takes, what that particular person or title is that you take on. And then all of the actions become easy, rather than having to make it this event. And I think that that is the problem that a lot of people run into, because then they're like, well, I started off, I did really good this week, and I didn't do good last week. And, I went, got down to 195, but then I went back up to 197. I'm like, well, are you being the person that is 170 pounds that, and they don't even, it's not even a concept. It's something completely different. They're doing the tasks, but they're not becoming the person. So you just have to become the person, and the tasks will follow you, will become easy. So here's the conclusion. Go out and figure out what you're calling yourself right now. What are the titles that you have right now? Figure out which ones are positive, which ones are negative, and things that you want to get rid of. Then figure out what you want to be or what titles you want to have, and then go find the people that you can put in those places and start studying them, asking them questions, and ask me if you have any trouble with this, because I'd be happy to help you out with figuring out, who those people are that you can follow, that you can ask questions to, because they're out there. There's so many people that are doing this. And then start brainwashing yourself to have these titles. Start telling yourself, I am an ultra runner, right? I am a professional writer. I am, a blogger, or I am, a trail runner or a kayaker or whatever it is, so that you can brainwash yourself into it. And it becomes like a snowball, getting bigger and bigger and bigger, going down a hill. It is awesome. Okay. So that's your task. If you have anything that you want to create or any titles that you want to become, you just go out and do those particular things. And I guarantee it will make all of these goals that you want to accomplish so much easier. All right. There it is. There you have it. If you have any questions, I would love for you to ask them at the show notes at allaroundjoe.com/202. That's allaroundjoe.com/202. Make sure that you're following me on Instagram and Twitter at allaroundjoe, or Joe_Bauer at Twitter, actually. And look out for the Workout Wednesdays on Instagram if you want to try out the workouts before you actually get started. But we'd love to have you. This podcast is actually brought to you by the Get Better Project. Go to getbetterproject.com/getbetter to join the Get Better Project and do the workouts that I'm doing on a regular basis. And actually, the ones that I'm doing only require 3 pieces of equipment. I have 2 50-pound dumbbells and a 70-pound kettlebell. You don't need to use those same weights, obviously, but you can mimic the workouts that we're doing. You can start getting the results that we're getting every single day. It is literally that easy. You just copy, follow, ask questions when you have them, become the person that you want to become. All right. This podcast is also brought to you by Blonix. So one of my favorite supplement companies of all time. I have just become an ambassador for them. I am super stoked. It's not something that anybody can just come and do. So it's a complete win-win. I believe that they have the best creatine product out there, an HMB plus creatine. And if you want to try Blonix, any of their products, go to allaroundjoe.com/Blonix, BLONYX, or use the code allaroundjoe when you check out at blonix.com. Either and or, it's just super easy. All Around Joe is the key to get yourself 10% off. All right, that's what I have for you this week. If you need anything at all, let me know. I am here for you and here to help you get better results. The All Around Joe podcast, where we optimize your human performance from my personal experience as an athlete, coach, and all-around self-improvement junkie. I will see you next time.